Welcome to Bet On It. I am Kelly Stewart, and it is week 18 of the NFL season. Let's bring in Joe Raineri and Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com. Welcome in, gentlemen. As we're filming the show on Wednesday afternoon, there has already been a plethora of quarterback changes, so we're going to try to navigate those for you. But we apologize in advance if something goes a little haywire either Wednesday night or Thursday before you guys get the opportunity to watch this one. So let's get into the primetime game, Saturday night primetime, with some really fun playoff implications. The Tennessee Titans 6.5 point underdogs at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Total of 40, Marco D'Angelo. I'm going to go to you first, because guess who gets to be at this one?
Well, surprise, surprise. Kelly at a football game. Imagine that. You look at this one, and this game makes a ton of sense for a Saturday game. It's a standalone game. It is win and you're in, and that's what we want to have. We don't want to have games where, teams are already, their fate is decided before they play. So this one's going to be interesting, and I know the world is going to want to jump on the Jacksonville bandwagon, and why not? They're rolling right now. But I got a question. They're rolling, but they've had a luxury of playing a bunch of cupcakes. They did beat Dallas. Let's give them that. Dallas coughed that game up with the turnovers. They were winning that game soundly, but they did have the benefit of playing Houston last week. The Jets, who can't get out of their own way. Tennessee, they did beat who they're playing this week, who's all banged up. It looks too easy to take Jacksonville for me. And, when that happens, what am I going to do? I'm going to look at the other side. And you know what? Tennessee showed me something last week. They ended up not covering, but they stayed in that game for better than 3 quarters last week with Joshua Dobbs making his first start in forever. He didn't hurt the team. And you know what? Tennessee went into that game with the mindset, we just want to get in and get out and take our shot this week in the head-to-head meeting against Jacksonville. And what are they going to do? They're going to run the football. They're going to send Derrick Henry into that line numerous times this week. And I think they're going to have some success. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is playing well, but he hasn't been in this position before. Tennessee has been a playoff team for how many years in a row? I like them in this spot to keep this game close. I think it's a field goal game either way. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Tennessee plus the points in this one. And you know what? Joshua Dobbs is the X factor in here. You only got 1 week of film to look at him. They might put a few more wrinkles into the offense. He's going to have a better grasp of the offense this week than he did last week. Let's see what happens. I'm taking the points in a must-win game. I'll go ahead and take Tennessee plus the points.
Joe, I don't disagree with what Marco said. I don't think Malik Willis down to Dobbs is that much of a drop-off. I thought the game should be closer to 4.5. As Marco said, he thought it's going to be a field goal game. I would agree with that. Your thoughts on the Saturday night primetime game?
Well, listen, Willis probably really wasn't supposed to play this year, and they knew that. But unfortunately, injuries come in. They throw this kid into the pile, and not working great. Not to mention the injury bug has helped or has hurt Tennessee all season long. Now, the good news is they were able to get rested last week because, they didn't have to play anybody in a game that meant nothing. But just comparing Willis to Dobbs, guys, one guy looked extremely comfortable, even though he hasn't been in a league in over a year, compared to the other guy that actually started a couple of games this year. So I think the experience factor, the maturity of Dobbs, it all showed through in that game. It even took Dallas by surprise. So having said that, now you got Derrick Henry back in. I think this team is rolling. Jacksonville has to grow up now. So this is it, Doug Peterson. It all comes down to this, right? You've got this team ready to take that next step. They've got a 3-game winning streak right now. Everything is rolling for them. Now is the time for this team to grow up and then head into the playoffs. Will they? I do. I think they do. I think there's far more talent on this team right now than anything we're going to get on Tennessee. I also think we're going to get far more scoring early in this one. This first half total was 19.5. It's been pushed up now, still under 21, I believe, 20 or 20.5. And I absolutely think Dobbs is going to have they're going to have some things rolled up for him. I think Tennessee is going to be able to put some points on this board early. And I know Jacksonville is going to be able to move the ball. That offense is clicking. So when it comes down to it, I don't want nothing to do with laying 6.5. I think Jacksonville wins this game. I wouldn't at all be opposed to, maybe using Jacksonville at one leg of a teaser down to a half a point, because I'm like Marco, I think it's going to be a one-score game, and ultimately Jacksonville is too talented. But I think we're going to get more than 20.5 points in the first half. So that's how I'm looking. That total was 38.5. The full game total has already been pushed up here. We're seeing 40s in the marketplace. Yeah, 3 touchdowns in the first half. I don't think that's going to be that hard. I'm going over in the first half.
Not to mention the Jaguars just played on Sunday and the Titans played last Thursday. So interesting scheduling spot there by the NFL. And Joe, I'm going to kick it right back to you because there's another interesting scheduling spot. I understand why you'd want to put the Packers in prime time, but before the game even starts, we may know that it doesn't matter. And we're going to see Detroit at Green Bay. Green Bay, a 4.5-point favorite currently. This one's already ticked up from 3.5, total 49.5.
Number 4 offense in the NFL right now, Cal. Over 385 yards a game, 27 points per game. The defense, hot trash for Detroit. We know that. And now, of course, same situation. We got a Packers team that somehow are managed to go from 4-8 to where they are right now, rattling off 4 straight with an opportunity to win and be in. So I get Lambeau, I get the more experienced quarterback. I've got an offense that is playing really, really well together. However, I'm also looking at a Packers team all year long that has struggled early in games. The clicking and the points seem to really come in the second half with Aaron Rodgers and company, and that makes sense, right? You got a lot of new guys on that offensive side of the ball, and sometimes takes a little while to get clicking. Detroit doesn't. Detroit this year, 12-4 against the number in the first half. Let me repeat, 12-4, one of the most profitable teams in the NFL this year, covering first half spreads, and they are almost always a dog catching points. That offense right now, it doesn't make a difference. Lambeau, Detroit, they're going to have some success against this Green Bay defense. You want to give me, 4 points, 3.5, 4 points in the first half? I got no problem taking them. I think Detroit in the first half will have this game either ahead or within a field goal. Either way, that's a winning ticket here. I expect them to go 13-4 this year in the first half after they play the Green Bay Packers.
All right, Marco, what say you about Sunday Night Football?
Okay, unless I'm wrong, the way I understand it, if Seattle wins in the afternoon, Detroit is eliminated. Green Bay is still live if they win with the tiebreaker with Seattle. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would say is if you like Detroit, the situation's going to be, this is going to be the number that it's going to be. Go ahead and play it now. But if you like Green Bay, I did that wrong. If you like Green Bay, you want to bet it now, because if Detroit gets eliminated by game time, you're going to see that line go up, in my opinion, because people are going to say, all right, Detroit doesn't have anything to play for. I beg to differ. I think Detroit would have nothing better than to stick it to Aaron Rodgers and the mentality that Dan Campbell has brought to this Detroit Lions team. They're not going to roll over and play dead if they're eliminated. They're on prime time. They're going to make a statement. This team's played well. And let's be honest. I know Green Bay has won 3 in a row, and everybody's excited about it. Let's just pump the brakes for a second here. Actually, 4 in a row. They beat Minnesota last week. Do we have to talk about all the problems that Minnesota's had this season, in how much of a fraud they've been, counterfeit. Then they did lose, to Detroit earlier in the year. But look at the teams that they've beaten recently. They played Miami. They should have lost the Miami game if Tua doesn't get concussed again. They were in trouble in that game. They played the Rams in Baker in the second game, but they caught Baker, off of that first game, the miraculous Thursday night game that he took them on that drive. And before that, they beat Chicago. They're not beating good teams. I think Detroit can beat Green Bay in this one. I'm not laying the points with Green Bay. I'm going to wait on playing Detroit till Sunday because I don't think I'm going to get a worse number. I think I can only get a better number if it shakes out with Seattle winning in the afternoon. So for me, I'm taking Detroit. I'm taking them plus the points, but I'm betting late on Sunday.
All right. Marco says, if you like the Lions, just hang tight. If you like Green Bay, make sure you bet it now. He is absolutely right with those playoff implications. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, it's time to see what our guy Ralph is doing.
Happy New Year. As we turn the calendar to 2023, we want to thank you, our loyal WagerTalk Sports Memo and Gold Sheet family. Thank you not only for your business, but for your feedback, suggestions, and criticisms, as it has helped us grow to become the #1 sports betting information company and leader of the sports betting videos and content, with WagerTalk TV now having over 110,000 subscribers. To welcome in 2023 and to thank all of you for your support, we want to give you 23% more on any All Sports All Access Pass of 30 days and longer. Buy a 30-day All Sports All Access Pass and get 7 days free, a $99 value. Buy a 90-day and get 22 free days. Buy a full year and get 84 free days, which basically takes you through March Madness of 2024. No coupon is needed, and the added free days will automatically appear. Just head to your favorite handicappers page and you will find these specials loaded. This special offer is only available until midnight on January 9th, the night of the College Football National Championship. For myself and everyone at the WagerTalk Media family, Happy New Year.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's time for the man with the pin. That's right, Mr. Ralph Michaels. Welcome in, Ralph. Make sure you guys are following Ralph on Twitter, of course, at CalSportsLV. Ralph, it's week 18 in the NFL. And I know this is a tough handicap. We've got lots of moving parts. All of a sudden, as I'm sitting here filming the show, we've got quarterback changes, lots to talk about. Tell me how you're looking at week 18 from a TNA perspective.
Kelly, it's probably my least used week. So much depends on the records of the teams, the playoff contentions, and you have so many inflated lines because Vegas knows people want to bet teams that must win. I knocked off 4 systems for you again. Take them with a grain of salt this final week of the regular season. But then after, we do have 2 charts breaking down situations for the final regular season game. So let me run through these first 4 again. Take them with a grain of salt. It's my least used week looking at system and angles. One that I talk about often on the show, teams that lose the first conference game as a home favorite. So you played your first time against a conference foe. You lost that game as a home favorite. You're obviously on the road now. Those teams have actually covered 64.3%. The team that lost as a home favorite game 1 and is now on the road game 2, that would be Tennessee against Jacksonville. System 1s is the play on Tennessee. Here's another Division 1. You are a favorite against a division foe, and you're a favorite of less than 6, and you have double revenge. So you might have lost both games last year and playing someone for the first time this year, or you lost game 2 last year and game 1 this year. That would be the Falcons and the Packers. Those teams that have double revenge against a division foe and are a small favorite of 6 or less, those teams like Atlanta and Green Bay have only covered 29.2% of the time. A very strong play against system. System 2 says to fade Atlanta and fade Green Bay. When we're in the second half of the season, week number 8 and later, if a team loses as a home favorite that had a win percentage over 65%, they have gone 67.4%. That would apply to the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, but the final game of the season, those teams that have things clinched may be resting starters. And the final, this is a total. We don't talk about totals often, but we did a comparison last week or 2 weeks ago about grass and turf and over-unders. When a team is off an away game that they allowed 4 or more sacks, and now they're playing on grass, those teams with a 160-plus sample size, there have been 95 overs, 151 unders, and 7 pushes. It applies to the Jets. Last week, the Jets were on the road, and they allowed 4 or more sacks. Now they're playing on grass. Those teams have gone under the total 61.4% of the time. So System 1 says to play on Tennessee. System 2 says to fade Atlanta, fade Green Bay. System 3 says to play on the Eagles. System 4 says the Jets and Dolphins under the total.
That's interesting, Ralph. The reason why I like that you ended with that one is because this week there's a lot of divisional games. And on Twitter, I'm getting a lot of flack for last week's divisional unders. And we kind of touched on it that later on in the season, maybe they aren't going to be as profitable. How do you recommend all those guys on Twitter that we've got hooked on these divisional unders go about approaching this week?
Well, Kelly, if they watched our show last week or they watched Wager Talk today, we talked about those second division meetings have gone over the total by, I think, 55%. So to me, it's clear. We're only going to look to play divisional unders in the first meetings of the year. We'll break that out for next year. I'll put that on my notes to have that as one of the opening segments here on the show. But last week's show clearly proved that you don't want to be automatically playing those division favorites late in the season. The division unders late in the season.
All right. Ralph's got a pair of nerd charts for us. Take it away, Ralph.
Well, you'll see the chart is broken up into 2 sides. The left side against the spread, the right side over-unders. And why does each have 2 columns? Well, remember, up until 2020, we only had 16 regular season games. I can't go into the database and say final game of the season, so I broke it down from 2015 to 2020, and then I put last year's records in. So let's look at the ATS numbers. Home teams in the final game of the season up until last year went 45.7%. Last year they went 9-7. Home teams between the threes, when you have a competitive game, they've gone 12-6 against the spread, 67%. But then look at the other teams. Home favorites a negative. Home favorites of 7 or more, 500. Home dogs of 3.5 to 7, a negative number. Home dogs of 7.5 or more, a negative number. So the take out of this is, in that small 6-year sample size, when you have a competitive finish to the season, home teams between the threes, yes, you want to play that home team. When you have a big home favorite or a big home dog, think about playing those road teams. And do look on the right-hand side now, if we could get that up for one more second, Dan. The right sides are the over-unders. I will post this on Twitter. You'll see that in the final game of the season, home teams from 2015 to 2020 have gone over 53.8%. Last year, on the final week of the regular season, remember it was game 17 last year, the over-unders went 11-5, 68.8%. Kelly, that works into what we said as well. Division games at the end of the year do tend to go over. I will throw that chart up on Twitter at CalSportsLV. And Kel, I have one more chart. I can't break down teams that have clinched, teams that are in the hunt for playoffs, because the database doesn't have that availability. So what's the next best option? I wanted to look at teams that have a win percentage over 70%, a win percentage over 80%, a win percentage under 30, and a win percentage under 20. We'll show the chart quickly. You guys can take out of it what you wish. I will post this on Twitter as well. But take a look at teams that have a win percentage over 70%. They were 16 and 17 up until 2020. They went 1-2 last year. Teams with a win percentage over 80%, 3-5 from 2015 to 2020, 0-1 last year. So in the last 7 years, teams that have a win percentage over 80% in the final game of the season, only 3-6. Take a look at teams that are under 20%. They went 5-1-1 from 2015 to 20. They went 2-0 last year. So they're 7-1-1 since 2015. And then the final line in the top half of that chart, what happens when a team has a win percentage over 70% playing an opponent under 30%, like Minnesota, Chicago, like San Fran, Arizona? Well, those teams with a win percentage of over 70% have only gone 2-6 ATS. So again, not a huge sample size, nothing that we're going to base a bet on, but I just wanted to share the information with you to help you become a better bettor.
I love that. That's what we're trying to do here on Bet On It, is help all of you become better bettors, because every single guy on the show has helped me do just that. Thank you to Ralph. Again, make sure you guys are following him on Twitter at CalSportsLV. The man with the pin. We'll see you in the playoffs. Let's kick it back over to Joe and Marco for some of those teasers. Okay, Marco, you are up first. Give me your NFL Week 18 teaser.
All right, Kelly. Well, we're going to go to an ugly team, and we're going to start with Houston because they're playing an even uglier team in this week's teaser. It is the typical teaser that we look for. We're going to get it through all the key numbers. It's a low total, and it's two garbage teams. Now, last week, Houston laid an egg, but you know what? They locked up the number one draft pick. So it doesn't matter if they somehow win this game this week, but I'm not worried about them having to win the game. I'm just worried about them staying within 8.5 points, and I don't see Indianapolis getting separation on any team. This team is a dumpster fire, and they can't wait till the season ends. So for leg number one, I'm going to go with Houston. Game number two, just a little bit tough, but I still think, given everything that's happened last week, they're going to show up. We don't know, as we're taping here, really what's going to happen with the Buffalo-Cincinnati game last week, but I can only look at the game that I have in front of me, and that is Cincinnati. They're at 7. I can tease them down to just win the game. Baltimore can't punch their way out of a wet paper bag right now. That offense is horrible. And even if if you do see Lamar Jackson, this is he hasn't played, and they've got the playoffs. They're not going to risk getting him hurt on running plays. They don't have enough weapons to stay with Cincinnati. I'm asking Cincinnati to just win at home. We still have seeding on the line for the Bengals. Baltimore, they are where they are. They can't. When they lost to the Steelers last week, that ended any shot of them winning the division. So for me, it's taking the Bengals down to 1 to just win and hook it up with Houston.
All right, Marco, that is of course, if the Bengals don't play last week's game. We'll see how that works, because my Baltimore Ravens ticket isn't out of commission just yet. Yes, I text my favorite sportsbook director just to ask. Joe Raineri, who is your teaser for this week in the NFL?
Oh, if you thought that was ugly, Marco, here, I got a couple of winners for you right here. This is, slim pickings here this week, but I'm going to start by going with the former team known as Kelly's favorite team. That would be the Denver Broncos, who are going to be at home finishing the season against the Los Angeles Chargers, who really have absolutely not a whole lot going on here. And while they keep saying, we're looking to improve our seeding, the reality is you're in. And that's the most important part to the Chargers. In the meantime, You've got a Broncos team here now, 3-0 straight up and against the number the past 3 seasons when hosting this Chargers team. We saw them be extremely competitive last week, right? I think they're going to want to, with their $250 million man there, Russ Wilson, I think they are absolutely going to want to, with the home crowd, make this a game. Do I think they're going to win? No, but do I think that they have a good chance of keeping this thing within 8.5, 9 points? You're damn right I do. This is going to be a one-score game when it's all said and done. Chargers are not going to, they're not going to be pushing the envelope to try and win this game in the second half. Not against that Denver defense here, who's got some pride and who is going to want to finish off. They're 0-5 this year in the division. The Denver Broncos have never gone over in the division, and that's dating back all the way to the 70s. So I do think they're going to give an effort here. I think getting them up and over a touchdown, 8.5, 9, I'm willing to do that. And then, of course, I've got to go, and it pains me, but I got to go with the Miami Dolphins here now. Their ability, I believe, 7.5 is what they are getting. It looks like the Jets are now a 1.5 favorite. So, listen, I love Mike White. I think he's great. He's more than capable of being a gamer. But if you guys didn't see it, he can't be better than 55, 60%. And that's where the Jets are right now. They'd rather anything, even Mike White at 60% is better than Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco. So I don't get 100% Mike White. I do get to back one of the teams that is in absolute need of a win here. It's a divisional matchup, one in all likelihood that is going to be low scoring. And I don't care if it's Bridgewater and the dislocated pinky on the throwing hand. Thank goodness it's not broken. Or Skylar Thompson now with a week to prepare. The playmakers have to make plays. The Dolphins have been absolute money at home dating back to last year. So the fact that I can get the Dolphins over a touchdown in this one now is a teaser leg I'm absolutely willing to take. So give me Denver and give me Miami as my teaser, Kel.
All right, we've got a pair of commercials coming up, but after we return, it's time for some barking dogs.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
God, if you guys could only see the outtakes during the commercial breaks, boy, oh boy, Marco's not mad at me yet. He's still here, and thank goodness, because I know the deli's closed, and I need to know his trap game of the week.
Well, Kelly, we're going to go to a tough one where most people are going to probably want to jump on the other side. Why? Because we're going to fade the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, I know they're playing for a playoff spot. If they win, they're still alive, but they need Green Bay to lose later in the day. So, yeah, Seattle's going to come to play. But you know what? So are the Rams. And I know the Rams got trounced last week, 31-10. But they were coming off. If you want to talk about a team being fat and sassy, you can't get any more fat and sassy than they were coming off the Christmas Day blowout of your Denver Broncos when they put up a 51 spot against that Bronco defense. I thought that was supposed to be the strong suit of the Broncos. They were flat last week. I know it was the Battle of LA, but you know what? there's one team in LA that's playing for something, and that was the Chargers last week. And the Chargers very quietly at the right time of the year are playing good football. But for the Rams, they get to play spoiler today. This is a division game. They were the Super Bowl champs last year. They're not going anywhere. Misery loves company. I think they stay inside this number. This is too many points for Seattle to be laying. And the reason I'm calling it a trap, well, talk about satisfaction. Don't you think Geno Smith had one hell of a big smile on his face last week, getting his revenge against the Jets? Hey, remember me with that win over the Jets last week, keeping his playoff hopes alive and watching the Jets' playoff hopes go up in smoke? Well, I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams this week plus the points. I see this as a field goal game. The Seattle defense, we know it can be had. And the one thing that we have seen since Baker's come there, I didn't expect it, but this offense has moved the football. Go ahead and take the Rams plus the points as my trap game of the week.
During the commercial break, Marco was alluding to how high he's going to be after the show, but Joe beat him to it per usual.
Yeah, no, I'd like to just call a timeout here because here we are, week 18. And let me just see here, Marco. I know you're big into timestamps, so let me refer you to the timestamp where the Rams were posted as my dog here on the show, which basically means you just hawked my dog there, Marco. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm going to send you the timestamp so you can see it. So, yes, ditto on everything that Marco just said for the Rams because they too were my dog. But I'm going to give you another one, all right, just because I'm in that kind of mood. And no, I'm not high. But I am going to go and let you guys, I'm just telling you, Mario, we're going to get it. But I am going to go right now with a contrarian play for a RU high here, Cal. Because while I'm probably going to be considered high going this route, but the total for Kansas City and the Raiders opened up at 50.5, now 53. I think it's only continued to go up. But you know what, to me, I'm going to go under in this matchup here, and I'll tell you why. As good as Jarrett Stidham looked, the reality is if Stidham was this good, he's been on the team for how long now? Josh McDaniel has known him for how long? And while, yes, they had a great game against a really good 49ers defense, I am not buying that he's going to be able to put back-to-back efforts that way. Not to mention Kansas City, depending on how it all shakes out here this week, Kansas City is going to have an opportunity here to better their position and possibly get the number 1 seed. Either way, Kansas City is not rolling over. Kansas City, I do believe, defensively in a division rivalry, which we know, Kel, all year has been absolute money to the unders. I think this is so overvalued right now with this thing now at 53. I think it should have been closer to the opening number, which was around 50.5. So to me, I'm going to go contrarian against the market, and I am going to go under 53 in this Kansas City Raiders game. I don't think we get to 50 points here. I think Stidham turns into a pumpkin this week against the Chiefs.
Well, that doesn't bode well for my best bet, Joe Raineri. Maybe we should have conversed about that. I guess I'm just going to skip over you for the barking dog segment since you already went there, and
yes.
we'll just go straight to Marco Barco for this one.
Well, Kelly, apparently Joe in timestamps and clocks doesn't really understand how things work. Joe, when you go to a grocery store and you get to the checkout line and somebody's in front of you, that means they were already there. When you're in Slack and you come in behind me, you're looking up at the Slack and you see me in front of you, that means I was there first.
We're in. I see. So you have to scroll up there. All right.
That is my line.
Exactly what
I love you both,
about.
but this is ridiculous. Like, okay, so you both like the Rams. Okay, we get it.
Yes. We're the
You
Rams.
want to say anything about the Rams, Joe?
No, you know what? You said it all, Marco. I could not have said it better. So absolutely, go with the Rams.
My face
Why don't
hurts.
you
Just
just
so you
say
guys know, we're
those
not even
things?
halfway through the show, and I can't feel my face.
All right. Now I forget who my barking dog. Oh, Washington. Yes, and I got news just as we were coming, just before we come on the air, that I was expecting Heineke, and instead I'm getting Sam Howell. But you know what? I am still going to stay with it. Remember last week we almost had to pivot with the Raider game, and I stayed with the Raider play, and it worked out well. And I'm going to do that again this week. Why? Because you know what? Yeah, Dallas has something to play for only if Philadelphia loses. And I know Philadelphia has been hard to watch the last couple weeks. I'm sorry, Dan, but there's been injuries. Everything's going to be okay. They're going to get the job done this week. They don't have to win by a margin. I'm not saying Philly's going to cover this week, but Philly will beat the Giants this week and get that much needed bye week. They need to get the bye. If there's any team heading into the playoffs that needs a bye week, it is Philadelphia. So with that said, to me means Dallas come second half might not have anything to play for if Philly's out to a big lead. And Washington, one thing with Coach Rivera, they're not going to quit. And if you're Dallas, you have nothing to game plan here. You have no film on Sam Howell as far as the NFL goes, other than preseason. In this Washington team, they've played well the second half of the season. They didn't play well last week. Why? Well, they got Carson Wentz once again. And it just amazes me how teams just keep thinking they can fix him, but you can't fix him. As Joe says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, this one, it is broke and you can't fix it. Just forget Carson Wentz. I think this actually is a spot where we're going to get some line value because of the move. I'm taking Washington. I see this game as a 3-point game either way. And we saw Dallas last week against the Tennessee team that started a quarterback that hadn't played in the league for over a year. This is a spot where they weren't prepared last week. I don't see them getting the job done here. And if they pull starters, that's even better in the second half. Take Washington plus the points, and we'll call it a day.
Love that, Marco. What a disgusting sequence of events. Joe's giving out an under in a divisional game that looks like they're going to be 100 points scored. You guys are both giving out the Rams, and Marco just finishes up the segment with the ugliest dog on the board in Washington, who is, by all means, going to backdoor cover that one. I already know exactly what's going to happen. Good God. It is finally time for a commercial break because I can still not feel my face from laughing so hard.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's time for some prop shop with Andy Lang and Ariel Epstein. Welcome in, guys. I know it's kind of a different week. It's week 18 in the NFL, and there's no Thursday night football, so I can't get a best bet from you guys. But Andy, this week's a little different, and from a prop perspective, I would love to know why.
Well, this is one of the most interesting and fun weeks for props because it is contract incentive week. And if you're not aware of what goes on in the final week, there are guys across the league who have certain incentives that pay out bonuses. If they get to 1,000 yards rushing, they get a bonus. If they get to 900 yards receiving, they get a bonus. And you'll see some of these teams and quarterbacks try and get their skill position players over this bonus, and you can take advantage by taking some overs and maybe a couple of unders on these props. Most famously, Tom Brady has been fantastic about getting his receivers, and in particularly Gronk has made a lot of money in the final week by Brady getting him over his touchdowns and receiving prop. We're going to take a couple of these props, break them down, and see if we can take advantage of them. I'm going to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars Tennessee Titans game because there are two receivers for Jacksonville. Now, this is a meaningful game. So this game script is going to be competitive, and we're looking at Zay Jones and Christian Kirk. So here are the incentives that we're looking at. So Zay Jones has 80 receptions, and he gets a bonus, but he has 78 catches, so I fully expect him to get to 2 catches. But if he gets 98 yards receiving, he's going to get $500,000 as a bonus by getting to 900 receiving yards. So we're looking at Zay Jones to be involved in the offense, especially if the game script goes one way or the other, and they're not playing for much in the fourth quarter. And then Christian Kirk, he's got a $500,000 bonus for 80 catches. He has 78, so we expect him to get there. But he has another $500,000 bonus at 1,100 yards. He needs 91 yards to get there. I'm looking at the receiving props that are out right now as we're recording this on Wednesday. Christian Kirk's receiving number is 51.5. So if they're trying to get Christian Kirk to this bonus and they're trying to win a competitive game, I think this is a fantastic way to look at an over for Christian Kirk. They're playing the Tennessee Titans, whose pass defense has just been atrocious. They played a few weeks ago. Trevor Lawrence threw for 368 yards. So we know this Tennessee Titans team can be thrown on. We know Jacksonville can throw on them. So take a look at Christian Kirk and Zay Jones as they're going to have a little bit more incentive to perform this Sunday.
And now we know why Antonio Brown had such a meltdown last year in regards to that game at the New York Jets. $1 million on the line. You might want your quarterback to throw to you. Ariel, I know you've got a pair of players you're looking at for Saturday and Sunday as well.
And to just follow up with what Andy was saying about the Titans, they do allow the 3rd most receiving yards to wide receivers also. I'm going to be betting both those overs on receiving yards, as Andy mentioned, for Zay Jones and Christian Kirk. Now, there's another receiver that I'm looking at. He's underrated. This is my sleeper play. As long as it's not overly juiced at an over 1.5 receptions, that's for Chargers wide receiver DeAndre Carter to go over 1.5 catches. In order for him to have 2 catches this weekend, he's going to have to go over that number of 1.5, obviously, and he's going to make $250,000 if he has 2 more catches this year. Carter really took on a big role with the Chargers when there were a bunch of injuries to the Chargers receiving core. He's not really been so relevant the last few weeks now that number 1 receiver Keenan Allen is back. However, it's a really nice thank you for a receiver that helped your team stay in the playoff mix and now get a wild card spot. The Chargers really have nothing to play for. They beat the Ravens in the tiebreak for the number 5 wild card spot. So they're not really going to want to expose much of their playbook anyway, and Carter's not going to really do that for the Chargers. So give him the over 1.5 receptions as long as it's not overly juiced. I don't lay more than minus 150 on props. My best bet going into this weekend, it's the Minnesota Vikings linebacker Zadarius Smith to have a sack. This is probably going to be somewhat in plus money. And this is, I mean, come on, what would you do for close to $1 million? If you can make $750,000 by sacking a quarterback, would you do it? Yeah, I would risk concussion or something for it. I don't care. I mean, he doesn't need to. I would probably die. But listen, it's okay because he's going to make $750,000 this weekend and record a sack. I love the play. Chicago is allowing the 2nd most sacks on their quarterback this season. So give me that over of a half a sack for Zadarius Smith this weekend.
Somebody already needs to be praying for Nathan Peterman because it sounds like he is going to get absolutely and utterly obliterated. Andy, before we let you go, I wanted to ask, where can you find, do you just Google contract incentives? Where did you guys find out that these guys have certain dollar amounts on the line here?
Well, these have become very, very popular over the last few years. You used to have to do all the legwork yourself, and you can still do that. But by the time Friday rolls out, most publications are going to have these listed. Social media becoming ever more popular day in and day out. You're going to find them on Twitter. You're going to find them on TikTok. Just do a Google search, but you have to make sure that the game script is going to go your way. I got to tell you, Ariel and I have both agreed that the Smith sack prop is our favorite. We debated who got to give that one out on the show. That one is a really, really good one. We were all lined up for Justin Fields to try and break the single season rushing record. That was going to be a great incentive. Unfortunately, he's going to be out. But closer to game time, you're going to be able to find these. And I do have to correct myself. The Titans and Jaguars play Saturday, not Sunday. I mentioned Sunday. But I love the ones Ariel gave out, but I would say consensus that Smith sack prop is going to be the one that I'm on the highest.
Love it, love it, love it. Ariel Epstein at Ariel Epstein on Twitter. Andy Lang at Bum Sports. Make sure you're giving both of them a follow. Love, love, love this segment. Thank you guys so much. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's time for those best bets.
Happy New Year. As we turn the calendar to 2023, we want to thank you, our loyal WagerTalk Sports Memo and Gold Chief family. Thank you not only for your business, but for your feedback, suggestions, and criticisms, as it has helped us grow to become the #1 sports betting information company and leader of the sports betting videos and content, with WagerTalk TV now having over 110,000 subscribers. To welcome in 2023 and to thank all of you for your support, we want to give you 23% more on any All Sports All Access Pass of 30 days and longer. Buy a 30-day All Sports All Access Pass and get 7 days free, a $99 value. Buy a 90-day and get 22 free days. Buy a full year and get 84 free days, which basically takes you through March Madness of 2024. No coupon is needed, and the added free days will automatically appear. Just head to your favorite handicappers page and you will find these specials loaded. This special offer is only available until midnight on January 9th, the night of the College Football National Championship. For myself and everyone at the WagerTalk Media family, Happy New Year.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's now time for best bets, and Joe already gave away mine. That's right. I'm taking the Raiders plus 9.5. I don't care what he says. The old Andy Reid is back, and he does not keep his foot on the gas. And you know who also is back? That's right. Jared Stidham, the shocker of the week last year. Can he replicate it 2 weeks in a row? Yeah, I'm not sure that he can, but I think that he can keep it respectable here. These two teams absolutely hate each other. Even though the Raiders have nothing to play for, they can still play spoiler here against a Kansas City team who has dropped 6 straight against the spread in the AFC West. And you know who's done really well in the AFC West? Oh, yeah, that's right. The Raiders. I was trying to find some Davante Adams contract incentives here. I did the little Google search like Andy Lang had suggested, and I couldn't find anything. But if Davante Adams plays half as good as he did last week, I think they're going to keep this one a lot closer than 9.5. Give me the points. I don't think I have the guts to sprinkle on the money line per usual, but the Raiders always play the Chiefs really tough. Marco, D'Angelo, I know you're not high yet, so give me your best bet.
All right. Joe, do you have anybody in the Carolina game? I'm not stealing that one or anything. We're good?
Oh, fuck crap.
Joe, how are you going to let the guy that looks like he's in a hostage situation talk shit to you? Look at what he has no furniture. Where is he even at?
It looks like he's in the principal's office right now.
Send the ransom. Yes. For those guys that didn't recognize the background, yes, I'm at Ralph's because I had no internet this morning. And God, I wish I had no gas in my car too. It would have been a much better morning. So the torture that I've had to endure. But that's what I do for you guys, our loyal viewers. And let's close out the season. We got 2 teams that went into last week still having playoff hopes. And, well, they both got dashed. Carolina more so because Carolina controlled their own fate. They went to Tampa and they had a chance. They were there for 3/4 of the game. And somehow Tom Brady found the old Tom Brady that had been missing all year and had his best day of the year, throwing a couple long touchdown passes. He actually found Mike Evans. Those two have been on different pages all year. And Carolina lost. So why am I going to come back with Carolina? You'd think, hey, their season's done. They blew it last week. No, I like what this Carolina team has done. Once they fired Matt Rule, they traded away their best player in Christian McCaffrey, and the San Francisco 49ers, thank you very much for that trade, because that is the difference for the 49ers right now. Clearly, it's not Brock Purdy. But this team's playing hard. Why? Coach Wilks got this team believing in themselves. Sam Darnold looks like Sam Darnold of old. Not anything that we saw at New York or at Carolina at the beginning of the year or last year, but I like what they're doing now. They're playing hard for him. He's an interim head coach. Maybe might have done enough to earn the job. They're going to get the job done here. I look at the Saints. How can you lay points with a team that can't score points? This is a Saints team that has scored 21 or less in 7 of their last 8 games. And since Sam Darnold took over at quarterback, the running game has come to life because they're actually respecting the passing game. They are running the football well. I like Carolina here. I think they're a better football team. They're only the underdog because they're on the road. I got Carolina. I've got them winning outright. Carolina 24-17 as my best bet.
Joe, which irrelevant game are you taking for your best bet this week?
Well, Cal, I'm going to go with the Rams. No, I'm only kidding. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to look at one of the, obviously, last week, week 18. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So let's talk about divisional totals and another divisional under right now, as the Bills are going to be hosting the New England Patriots, at least as of coming to you guys here on Wednesday. Total around 42.5. And listen, it's going to be tough sledding for the Bills mentally. I do think being at home and having the opportunity to show up and show out defensively is going to be something the Bills are going to be very motivated to do. I don't think we're going to get some sort of unbelievably high-scoring game in this divisional matchup. It has been absolutely, and the Bills, by the way, have been money to the under this year. We know New England plays great defense, likes to run the ball, and that's what they're going to want to try to do. Keep Josh Allen and company on the sideline here. Temperatures are going to be cold. Doesn't appear to be anything crazy, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Bills and the Patriots, this is going to be one of those 20-13, 2014 type of games when it's all said and done. I think the game stays under the 42.5, just like most of them have here for the Buffalo Bills, and certainly in divisional matchups all throughout the year. So if it ain't broke, I'm not fixing it here. I think the Bills at home. I think the defense shows up and shows out, and I don't think we're getting a ton of scoring. So I'm going to go the Patriots and Bills to the under as my best bet here in Week 18.
All right, just in time. We're going to take our last commercial break, but when we come back, it's the recap.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free $59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
Well, welcome to Bet On. Normally there'd be a graphic in front of my face, but Marco, the hostage, has something he would like to say.
Guys, shh, don't tell Ralph. I broke into the database and I found something. I'm at the mothership. Don't tell him. He's still not here. Okay, good. We're good. Guys, the final week of the NFL season, if you have 2 teams playing that are out of the playoffs, the last 4 seasons, 20-12 to the over. That's 62.5%. And I got his pen, too. I got his pen. I'm taking it. This is fun. I'm taking Ralph's pen. Don't tell him.
Marco, don't forget to get some Miller Lite while you're there, okay? I mean, if you're gonna go stealing things, at least at least go for the gold.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
If I really wanted to piss Ralph off, I would steal all of his Miller Lite and replace it with Bud Light. He would go freaking
See, I've only been trying to hook him up with my mother for like 5 years. They're just one and the same. Can I get the recap? I can't even talk. Recap.
Yes. Decker, but that's me.
Can I get the graphic going yet, please? I got to end this show. I got things to do, you guys. It is freaking Wednesday. All right, Saturday, Tennessee, Jacksonville. We like the dog. That we is me and Marco. Joe likes the first half over. Sunday night, Detroit at Green Bay. Joe says, give him the dog in the first half. And Marco says, wait until Sunday if you like the Lions, because this one's going to go up if they end up being out of the playoffs. 2-team 6-point teaser. I don't know why neither one of these guys said Minnesota, but that's who's in my teaser with the Houston Texans. Marco also likes them with Cincinnati. Joe is taking the lowly Denver Broncos and his Miami Dolphins. Oh, wait, he's a Jets fan. That being said, are you high? Kansas City, Las Vegas under 53. Everybody likes the Rams. Barking dog, Washington plus 7.5. My best bet, Las Vegas, the Raiders plus 9.5. Marco likes Carolina, the most irrelevant game on the board, plus 3.5. And Joe says, give him the under in Buffalo. All right, that was our last regular season Bet On It show for the NFL. We'll be back for the playoffs. But of course, shout out to Ralph, Ariel, Andy, our producer Dan, Will, Marco, and Joe. Till next Wednesday, let's bet on it.